विग्रह त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौली स्फुरत् तारानायक शेखरां स्मितमुखीमां मीनवक्षोरुहाम् पाणिभ्यामलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम् सततज्वर विषमज्वर ग्रह नक्षत्र दोषाञ्चान्या हर हर काली सर सर गौरी गम गम विद्ये आले माले काले बन्धे भज भज विद्ये मख मख विद्ये नाशय नाशय पापम् हर हर दुःस्वप्नम् विध्वंसय विध्वंसय
Suprabhatam, a warm welcome to all the panelists and the audiences of today's program. It is yet another wonderful session for all of us from a multi-talented yoga instructor, yoga teacher, yogacharya with all of us. I welcome all the members of Global Yoga Festival, and today this is the physical body constantly undergoes various processes of transformation which affect each and every molecule of its material substance, and Hatha Yoga is the practice in which it institutes a process in this physical body, whereby the pranic currents and mental forces which interact with each other in the scheme of life facilitating this transformation. This practice session will focus on the specialized sequence of Hatha Yoga practices, including asana, pranayama, and mudras. To introduce our facilitator for today, we have yet another multi-talented yoga teacher with us, Dr. Karthik HC. I request him to come on the screen. Dr. Karthik HC is a well-known yoga exponent and therapist with over 15 years of experience. He has completed 500 hours TTC from Ujjain Yoga Life Society. Dr. Karthik has a great command over Sanskrit and yogic scriptures and is drawn towards yogic way of living. Dr. Karthik holds a master's degree and a doctoral degree in yoga and philosophy. He has studied Veda and Vedanta and yoga from Veda Vijnana Gurukulam, Bangalore. Dr. Karthik is a well-known yoga exponent, master, therapist. At present, he is the founder and director of Arka Yoga and takes various philosophy classes, including Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Geranda Samhita, Hatha Ratnavali, and other scriptures. Apart from his theory sessions, many students across the globe got benefited of these practical sessions as well. He takes stress management sessions in various corporate benefit of this practical sessions as well. He has been teaching yoga philosophy and asana alignment, science of pranayama, bandhas and mudras in many teacher training programs. He has presented the research paper at the International Symposium conducted at Prashanti Kutiram, S. Vyasa Yoga University, Bangalore, on an ancient remedy to modern melody in 2004. In 2011, he has published an article entitled A Study of Medicinal Plants Used in Yajnas in National Journal, which is in the field of Ayurveda. Apart from all his academic teaching achievements, as an individual, Dr. Karthik is an engaging personality. He engages everyone with captivating dialogues. He was one of the first batch students of Veda Vijnana Gurukulam. And he has been teaching yoga for the journalists, and he was teaching in one of the well-known Ayurveda colleges in Bangalore. So, once again, I request Dr. Karthik to continue this session with all his guidance. I welcome all the panelists, all the audience, and keep all your questions to ask regarding practices and some aspects of yogic practices, and keep them all in question answer box so that at the end of the teaching we can all ask the questions. Namaste. Once again, I hand over the session to Dr. Karthik HC.
Dhanyawada. Thank you very much, Sushruji. Namaste, everybody, and very, very warm welcome to each and everybody for this session. It's my great pleasure, privilege, and honor to be here with you all in this global festival of yoga celebrating wellness. And firstly, I would like to thank Indica Yoga, especially Dr. Vinay Chandra and Dr. Anuradha, to organizing such a utilitarian program, despite the whole world is undergoing with such a pandemic disaster. this is an opportunity for each and every individual to retain and to uplift their physical, mental, and psychological well-being through this holistic program. And today, this entire my session is Hatha Yoga for transformation from gross to subtle. So, in this session especially, we are going to practice Hatha Yogic asanas and some stretches to open up the shoulder joints, hip joints, knee joints, and major joints and the muscles of the body. Along with that, we are also going to practice some bandhas, mudras, and some other yogic kriyas. Through it's an integral yoga by practicing which all the channels of the bodies will get cleared up and all the blocks will be cleared and one will feel very light and supple. Before commencing the session, I just want to add few more points that in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there is a verse, there is a shloka which says that Hatasya Prathamam Latva Asanam Purumuchyate Kuriyat Tadasanam Stharyam Arogyancha Angalara. This shloka or this verse says that Hatha Yoga begins with asana. Before asana, the kriyas will be there. After the kriyas, one will come to the asana, and in the asana, many meditative and other postures will be performed, keeping the intention that one has to maintain, one has to gain the optimum health and flexibility, stairyam, arogyam, angalagvam. These three are the benefits of doing asana. Stairyam is a stability, angalagvam means getting the suppleness or lightness to all the limbs of the body. There is one more word called arogyam. Arogyam is a good health. But this arogya, if you look into Ayurveda, Ayurveda has a different definition, unique definition of arogya. That is, samadoshaha, samagnischa, samadhatuhu, malakriyaha, prasanna atma indriya manaha swasthaitya vidhyate. The definition of healthy person or definition of the health. We think that just mere absence of disease is the health. Actually, that is not. In that perspective, if you look at an individual of modern world, everybody is sick here. Because samadosha, the three doshas will be there, that is vata, pitta and kapha. Vata refers to wind and pitta refers to bile and kapha is the mucus. And this, all the three doshas should be balanced in the body. And sama agni, the digestive fire, should be in a very efficient manner and it has to be in a very good condition to digest the food. And sama dhatu, dhatu refers to the essential tissues of the body. Basically, there are sapta dhatus according to Ayurveda, that is rasa, rakta, mamsa, medha, asti, majja and shukra. So, from anatomical perspective, if you look into these 7 essential tissues, rasa refers to plasma, rakta refers to blood, mamsa refers to flesh, and medha refers to the adipose tissue or the fat, asti is the bone, majja is the bone marrow, and last one, shukra, is the vital fluid, the seminal fluid of the body. All these sapta dhatus should be in a very healthy state, without any defect, without any deficiency. And prasanna atma indriya manaha, very tranquil mind, senses and soul. When all these things are integrally present in this biological system, then we can say the person is healthy. And my point here is, by practicing Hatha Yoga with the different components of yoga like asana, pranayama, bandha, mudras, with all these things, integrally when we practice, this health state can be achieved. So that's a small introduction about this session. Now let's get started. So you sit in any comfortable position, whether it can be Sukhasana, that is like this, simple one, or Siddhasana, like this. Sit in any comfortable position and keep your spine straight. The back should be straight, neck and the head. Samantaya Shirogrivam. So, and the shoulders is slightly pushed back, the collarbone, palms resting on the knees, or you can keep it like this. just close your eyes and relax your body. Be very, very comfortable and make sure no stiffness and no rigidity. Relaxing each and every muscles of the body is very, very important. Along with the body, try to relax your mind. Wandering mind jumping from one topic to another. Try to still the mind. Let's begin this session with one Om chanting. You can just adopt Namaskar Mudra. Take one deep inhalation, deep breath. Feel the wonderful peace and tranquility induced in the body after chanting this Om. Feel the vibration at the cellular level. Now gently open your eyes. So now let us start this session with some pranayama. So let us begin with Kapalabhati. Even though Kapalabhati is a yogic kriya, but it hyperventilates the lungs and it makes all the respiratory organs fit to perform other pranayama practices. That's the reason we do the Kapalabhati in the beginning of pranayama. Let's do a few rounds of Kapalabhati, and there is a contraindication for the Kapalabhati. Those who are having hypertension, high BP, and recently if you have gone with any ulcer or surgery or something about the abdomen, please avoid. And at the same time, those who are having epilepsy also should avoid the Kapalabhati practice. Rest everybody can do. I just do a few rounds of Kapalabhati, then we can do it together. So palms are resting and keep your chest slightly expanded, the belly muscles are relaxed. So it goes like this. So with every exhalation, the belly has to be flat and the exhalation should be very sharper and with the force. So let's do 20 rounds of Kapalabhati all together now, and after that we can just stop the practice. Let's begin. Yes?
Karthik ji, just one information. Could you speak a little slowly?
Yeah,
So
sure.
if you can speak slowly, it will be more clearly heard.
Okay, sure. So let's begin this Kapalabhati now together. Continue a few more rounds. In between, if you feel tired or feeling dizzy, you can stop any point of time, no worries. Okay, now gently stop the practice, and after stopping the practice, your back may be slightly feeling discomfort. So that's the reason, just stretch your back once, take the hand forward like this, bend forward, and slowly drop your foot. Slowly come back Have given a good stretch to the back. And after this Kapalabhati, the breath is automatically changed now, and even the normal breathing is more enhanced, and we are taking more oxygen in the normal breathing. So now let's go to the next Kapalabhati, the next variety, that is Bhastrika. In the Bhastrika, we have the same ratio of inhalation and exhalation both. So deep inhalation and deep exhalation. Here we go like this. So when we are doing the Bhastrika, one thing you must remember, maybe when you finish the 10th or 11th round, you may feel dizzy. This is a very common thing, and it's not something very strange. In that case, please stop it, take a break, take 2-3 long breaths, and again continue. Okay, now together, let's start the Bhastrika Pranayama. Deep inhalation and deep exhalation. Continue for another 5 rounds. Okay, now gently stop the Kapalabhati and Bhastrika both. We have finished both. Let's stretch our back once again. Take your hands forward. Stretch as much you can. Bend forward and drop down. Drop your head down. And slowly come back. The next one is the Nadi Shuddhi. Nadi Shuddhi is to balance both Ida and Pingala, that is both the nostrils, having different two nadis as per yoga philosophy. So, especially sympathetic and parasympathetic activities of the body will be harmonized, will be balanced with the Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Also, all the channels, that is the nadis, will get cleared with the Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. So, Nadi Shodhana Pranayama should be done with this mudra, is called Vishnu Mudra. So, you need to hold your index finger and middle finger. Keep these two fingers separate and the thumb separate. Nadi Shodhana can be done by everybody. There is no much contraindication for this. So close your right nostril and the left nostril is open. We can do together this one. And take a very slow and deep inhalation with the left nostril. After that, close your both the nostrils. Open your right and very slow exhalation with the right nostril. Now take one more, a deep inhalation with the right nostril. Close both the nostrils. Open the left and slow exhalation. So basically, inhale with the left, hold the breath for 1 or 2 seconds, exhale with the right, and inhale with the right and exhale with the left. That finishes one round. Let's go for 2 more rounds of this Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Again, deep inhalation with the left nostril. Close both the nostrils and hold the breath for 1 to 2 seconds. Open the right and slow exhalation. Now inhale through the right nostril. Hold the breath for a few seconds. Open the right nostril and slow exhalation. One more round. Take a deep inhalation with the left nostril. Hold the breath for 1 or 2 seconds and comfortably exhale through the right nostril. Again, inhale through the right nostril. Hold the breath for 1 second and exhale slowly through the left nostril. Now stop the practice and drop your hands down. So rub your palm gently once, warm up your palm and just place it on your facial muscles and open your eyes. So now let's do some stretches to open up different joints and muscles of the body. Let's begin with certain stretches now. Take both the hands upward and interlock your fingers tight, stretch up. And make sure your chin is parallel to the ground, the spine is completely lifted upward. And after that, slowly bend to the side and don't lean forward, don't let the hand to come front. Just open it back, head lifted and go to side. The gentle stretch to the sides of the body. And slowly come up, center. The same practice with other side. Stretch to other side. Make sure your chin is lifted. Don't contract your neck area. And slowly come up. One more right and left. Come up. And the last. Alternate this side. And come on. So there is a huge stretch on the shoulder, but don't drop the hand, just stay here. By lengthening your spine, the arms are straight and slowly twist the spine towards the right side. And you get a good stretch and the torsion on the spine. Center. And with a normal breathing, twist towards the other side. Once again, come to center. One more right and left. Just twist towards the right side. Center. This last alternate. And center. Now slowly drop your hands down. You can feel that the entire shoulder and the neck, this area is exercised properly. Now, let's do one more thing, one more spinal twisting. Stretch your both the hands upward, and when you're stretching, don't tighten the muscles. Let it be very comfortable and without having any strain. Now, once again, chin is parallel. Take a deep inhalation, and while exhale, slowly hold with the right hand, hold the left knee, and the left hand kept in line with the spine backside of your body and turn that side. Once again, take a deep inhalation, stretch your both the hands up while exhale with the left hand hold the right knee and the right hand backside in line with the spine, and you can just pull like this, open the chest and turn that side. One more, inhale, deep cleansing breath. And exhale, twist. Again, inhale, both the hands up and exhale, twist. That's good. Slowly relax. Slightly we worked out on the shoulder and these things. So let's stretch the side a little more. Just keep your elbow on the ground. Like this, you can sit again in the same position, you can retain that, and take your hand above the head, like this, and lift your head, and you can just move the hand forward like this, one, and deep inhalation, move back and try to open the torso towards the ceiling. Again, move forward once more, inhale, just try to open the entire, this area, relax, will get just opened up, and look upward. Now slowly come back. So come to center like this and move the other hand. Those who are not able to reach the ground with their elbow, you can just keep the hand on the ground like this. Take the hand all the way to the top. Just move it forward now and deep inhalation. Inhale and try to open up. And exhale, move the hand forward. Once more, deep cleansing breath. Inhale and try to open the shoulder and the torso. And exhale slowly. Come back. So now, just stretch the right leg forward like this. And those who are having a knee issue, just release the hands slowly and you can just relax like this by little loosening of the knee. You can just relax the knee. Then bring your heel, the left heel, closer to the perineum and the right leg is outstretched. So let's do one dynamic practice in order to give some stretch to the spine. Just bend forward. Those who are able to catch their foot can do this, but there is no necessity of forcing yourself. Just place the hand like this or wherever you reach. Just bend forward and turn. This leg is bent and turn towards the side. Take your forehead to the ground. And again, exhale, bend forward. Inhale, go for a twist. Exhale, bend forward. Inhale, go for a twist. Two more times. Exhale, bend forward. And inhale, go for the twist. Last round. Exhale, bend forward. And go for the twist. Exhale, come back. So basically, this gives a very good stretch to the hamstring, and then we keep twisting in a dynamic manner so that all the stiffness of your spine and the belly muscles will get released, and the body for the asana will become easy. So the same practice, they are switched over. So now the right heel close to the perineum, and stretch your left leg forward, and the same the rules applicable here. Don't force yourself. Just try to bend as much as you can. And go for the twist. 2. 3. Again bend forward. And 4. And 5. Bend forward. And go for the twist. Exhale, bend forward. And inhale, go for the twist. Just come back and stop the practice. So let's do the same thing with other side. I mean, come to the same position. So now what you have to do is you need to bring your heel almost closer to the perineum and just press the perineum against the heel and outstretch your leg. And those who can't hold the foot can use some dupatta or can use some strap like this, yoga belt, or you have some long cloth, whatever you can use, just put it around your leg like this. If you're having some discomfort or stiff back, you can do this. Remember, those who are having hypertension, high BP, or any disc-related issues like herniated disc or any kind of disc-related severe back issue, please don't practice. Rest everybody can do this. So those who can't reach, then hold like this. Here, the very important thing is the alignment of your shoulder. Otherwise, your shoulder will be like this. So one hand, it seems to be like one hand is shorter than the other. It's just because of the alignment. So just twist the spine like this by holding the leg in this manner. Then stretch your hand. First left hand stretch forward and hold the right foot, and then the right hand. So that both the shoulder will be aligned. That's a very important thing here. And look front now. I don't want you to drop the head down. Look front. Just hold it, and we are going to do the Mahabheda Mudra. This is very, very important in order to initiate the pranic movement in the body, pranic current in the body. So after holding this, take a deep inhalation through the nose, and after that, hold the breath and try to look upward. And if possible, try to look at your eyebrow center. The breath is held inside. Okay, look front and come back. Just feel this. So once more, we are going to do the same thing. So first I just explained, just go like this, hold it, and take a deep inhalation through the nose. Hold the breath inside, don't exhale. Look upwards, so there is a contraction of your neck and the back side. So Jalandhara Bandhana is called. And look into the eyebrow center. So eyebrow center, just focused mind. If you look into the eyebrow center, mind will be focused so that the stillness of the mind can be achieved. So let's try once again now. Try to hold like this, either with the hand or with the strap. Just take a deep inhalation and look upward. That's good. Release now. Release the head. If you're feeling some sort of stretch, sure, you can just drop your head down once and come back. So let's try the same thing with the other side now. Please switch forward. So now left leg is stretched forward and the right knee is bent. So bend forward and try to clasp either the foot or the big toe or with the help of the strap. So stretch the body, the back should be straight. Don't bend your back. At the same time, make sure that both the shoulders are back. So take a deep breath. Then look upward, Shambhavi Mudra. Look into the eyebrow center. That's the release. One more last time. Take a deep breath. And hold the breath and stretch your neck upward, Shambhavi Mudra. That's good. Release. Now slowly come back. So after this, let's do the next posture, Parivruta Janu Shirshasana, which is very useful in order to open up the sides of the body and good for the hamstring. So bend your left leg like this. Again, the heel closer to the perineum, and the right leg is opened as much as you can until you get a slight stretch on the hamstring region. Extend your right hand, and with the two fingers, your middle finger and the index finger, try to grab your big toe. If not, you can just place the palm here. If you're not able to go till there, place the palm wherever it reaches. Then after that, place the other hand on your waist and slowly open your shoulder. Okay, so that this shoulder, the shoulder and the leg becomes one line. Then take your left hand all the way to top. And try to look upward if possible. If not, the hand usually comes front like this. Try to give a good opening to relax and just stay for some breath now. Hold it around 5 to 6 deep breathing. Feel a lot of stretch on the sides. Very good. Slowly come back now. And let's do the same thing with the other side. Open your left leg sidewise. And extend your hand. Again with the two fingers. Just try to grab the big two toes again. If not, hold the ankle. Right palm on the waist and open the shoulder. So take your right hand all the way to top. And just try to open your shoulder, try to open your waist and look upward. So after reaching the final position, just stay and keep breathing deeply. Once you finish 4 to 5 rounds of breath, then you can slowly come back. Okay, excellent. Come back now. So after coming back, just join your feet together. Sit in a very, again, comfortable position. Join the feet together. Suppose those who have a lot of stiffness in the groin and the hip joint, the leg will be like this. And if it is slightly open up, it goes down. And just flap your leg sideways like this for some time in order to open up this groin and inner thigh region. Now after this, just keep it as it is, doesn't matter now. So keep your left hand next to the left thigh and the right hand diagonally stretch forward and keep the fingertip on the ground. Crawl your fingers slowly further and drop your head. So this gives a very good stretch to this big muscles. It's called latissimus dorsi. So this removes all the rigidity and stiffness from the back muscles. Come back. The same practice with the other side. Place your right hand next to the right thigh and slowly stretch the hand diagonally forward and bend. Come back. Just repeat this now. The side 1, back, and 2 stretch, back, 3, back, 1 more last, and 4. Slowly come back. So we'll move to the next one now. Just cross your ankle like this. Everybody, bring your right foot forward and cross the ankle. So after crossing the ankle, bring it a little close to the body. So let's do one standing with this one, with keeping your ankle like this. Stretch your hand forward. This is also a core strengthening. And remember one thing, those who are having the severe knee issues, it can be early stage of arthritis or whatever, anything related to the knee, please don't practice, or some injury in ankle or the toe, please don't practice. Otherwise, you can do this one. Just keep the hand like this. So now take your back like this, lean backward by cutting your belly inward and curl up your spine. In exhale, lengthen the spine and lean forward. Again, inhale, go back, use your core muscles, and exhale, come forward. Once again, inhale back and exhale forward. Now the last one, inhale back, just tuck your belly inward, and this time while exhale, slowly come to standing position without any hand support. Okay, so be careful. If you are not at all getting balanced, then take the hand support. Otherwise, the idea of doing this is no hand support. So go back, inhale, and while exhale, lean forward like this. Okay, like this you can get up. Slowly come upward. Okay, so now stand like this, and everybody just go to the sitting position like this. Come to sitting. So we usually when you sit in the cross leg, especially for any purpose, if you have to get up, you have to get up like this. You cannot take a support like this, and getting up is not allowed. So you have to get up like this. So let's do once again now. Go back and take the foot support, especially the edge of the foot. Go back and lean forward and slowly come. Excellent. So now here a slight modification. So place your right foot flat on the floor, the back foot also flat on the floor. And stand straight now. And now take your both the hands. Sometimes what happens when you're standing there, you may lose the balance. In that case, you can just place the foot like front. Otherwise, keep the foot like this, crossed. So take your both the hands upward now. Interlock your finger and stretch your both the hands up. So like this, it has to be stretched upward. Okay. Then slowly move to the right side without losing the balance. You have to be a little careful because it's slightly tricky because of the balance. Come up and the side. Once more, come up. Again to the left side. So gives a very good stretch to the sides now. So from here now, release your hand from the side, lengthen your spine. Your spine should be very, very straight. Come forward. Again, those who are having a severe back pain, please don't practice this, otherwise you can. So keep your fingertip on the ground like this. Inhale, head up, and exhale, slowly drop your head down. So now you get a huge hamstring stretch on your left leg. So now from here, now look friend, Since your right leg is front, you can't take the right leg back, but your left leg is back side. So just take your left leg back and come to the Ashwasanchala. Keep your back knee on the ground. Extend your toe backward and make sure this is perpendicular. You can keep the fingertip and try to push the hip forward. Look front. And now from here, take the back toe support. Lift your knee up. The back knee is lifted and the left hand placed inside the right foot with a very small distance, and make sure left shoulder, inner shoulder is closer to the right knee. Otherwise what happens? It happens like this. This is not right. So foot flat on the floor, this inner elbow and the knee closer. Bring it very, very close. Stretch the right hand upward and look at the fingertip. You get a huge twist on the belly. Back leg is absolutely straight. You're not dropping your knee on the ground, and just hold for 3 deep breaths. Good. Both your hands down, and now take your leg back side and come to the downward facing dog. So remember, in the downward facing dog, you have both the foot flat on the floor. Keep trying to push your shoulder more and more inward. And from the downward facing dog, drop your knees on the ground, chest on the ground, and Sastanga Namaskara, your forehead on the ground. Knees, chest and forehead, your tip of the nose should not touch the ground. The belly should not be dropped on the ground. Huge stretch will be experienced on your mid back and upper back. After the Sastanga Namaskara, then slowly come to the Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. The toes extended back, so the shoulder should not come front like this. Open up your shoulder, chest is open. Take the support of your both the toes and tap the toe and come to the downward dog. So here, everybody just drop your knees once and look front here, look towards me. So here there is a, let's do one thing. You have to come forward. Either you can come like this. Now you have to bring your left leg like this, crossed, and right leg like this. You can come to the sitting position like this. Your left leg is front. Or else, if you're practicing some vinyasa, those things, you can do the jumping, but you should not have any injuries on the leg. So bend your knees, belly pushed against the thigh, and slowly just jump forward. And in this, your left leg is front and the right leg is back. So we are going to repeat the same sequence with other side now. That time we just got the right leg front, now the left leg. Stretch your hand forward now and take a deep breath like this. Pull your abdomen in and exhale forward. Lengthen the spine. Inhale, pull the belly back and exhale forward. Now 2 more rounds. In the second round, you have to get up. Remember that. Mentally get prepared. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Now you have to get up. Since you are bringing the left leg, we are not used to that. I mean, we are not used to get up with bringing the left leg forward. You have to be really, really careful. No force. If you can't do it, take the support and come up. Okay? So go back. And while exhale, slowly come up. So now the left leg is front. Take one deep inhalation here. And exhale, slowly come down. Okay, this is the last time. Inhale, go back. Now we are going to get up, exhale, and slowly come up. Now drop your hands. This time, you are going to bring the left leg forward. Keep your back straight and the spine should be straight. And remember one thing, when you're doing this, the spine should not be like this. The lower back should not go inside. So you need to just do this one, tilting of your pelvic. Okay, this anterior rotation. and belly should be pulled upward, shoulder should be relaxed. This way. It should not be like this. So tuck your belly in. Now take your both the hands upward. The tailbone region is engaged. Each of your fingers touch up and just do the stretches now. Come to center, other side. Come up. One more right and left. Now come to center now and release the hand from the side. Lean forward, keep your fingertips on the ground. Inhale, head up, and exhale, drop your head down. Take your forehead on the knee and get a lot of stretch on your right hamstring. From there, just lift your right leg up and take it back. Keep your right knee on the ground, extend your toe backward. Now slightly push the hip and look front. So now take the support of your toe and lift your knee up. We are going to do the Parivrtta Parsvakonasana variation. Just place the right palm next to the left foot. And remember, this is very important. So the right inner shoulder should be very closer to the left knee. Just push it like that and take the belly muscles out and slowly stretch your left hand out. Stay here for 3 deep breathing. Drop your both the hands on the ground and take your leg back and come to the downward facing dog. So Adho Mukha Svanasana, from here now, just drop your both the knees on the ground. Come to the Vajrasana and relax good. Take 1 or 2 long breath. So this whole sequence, I mean whatever we did, it just opens up the lower limbs at the same time, the belly muscles, the spine and the shoulder. It's just a total body workout. And after this, now come to the standing position. And standing in the sense of the knee down position. And in case of severe knee pain, please don't practice, otherwise just come on the knee. And from here, let's do the gate pose, that is Parighasana, the gate pose. So this knee and the right foot should be aligned in a single straight line, and your hip should not go backward. Try to push your hip forward, back straight, and extend the right hand along with the leg, and take your left hand all the way to the top. Once again, you are not supposed to do this. Usually, this is a mistake we make. So try to open up. Now from here, slowly come back, center. And keep your left fingertip on the ground. Okay, and those who can't reach the ground can place the brick here like this, place the palm on the brick, yoga brick. So make sure that this hand, knee and the foot aligned in single straight line. And now open your torso like this, stretch your hand and hold your look upward. You can have a normal breathing. Come back. One more repetition, just stretch this side, give a good stretch to the sides, at the same time the inner thigh stretch. Come back, place the palm on the brick and stretch the hand above the brick. Perfect. Slowly come back now. Once again, you can just sit in the Vajrasana. Take 1 or 2 normal breath. Excellent. So we'll do the same thing with other side now. Once again, stand on the knees. So extend the left leg towards the left side. Make sure the right knee is very firm. Left foot can be tilted, but thing is the foot should be flat on the floor. So knee and the ankle should be in the same single straight line. Extend your left hand along with the leg. Stretch your right hand all the way up and try to look up. And slowly come back. Place your palm either on the ground. If you're keeping the palm on the ground, keep the fingertip like this. If on the break, you can just place the full palm. Okay, then take your other hand above the navel and try to look upward. Try to open your navel and slowly come out. Last one more. Stretch to the side and come back. Keep your fingertip and stretch your left hand above the hip. Perfect. Slowly come up now. Once again, sit in the Vajrasana. Relax. And again, it's very important to mention that when you're sitting in a Vajrasana, suppose it stretches the knee joints extremely, so that if you're having any issues, sit in a simple cross-leg position. Don't sit in the Vajrasana. Otherwise, it's recommended to everybody. So the next one, we will do the Mandukasana. We just start opening your both the knees as much as possible, and remember, you're joining your big toes together. Big toes are joined together, and you open the knee, and you need to place your glute muscles on your heels or in between your heels. Now you're sitting firm. So in a severe knee injury case, please don't practice. And after this, after sitting firm on this, knees are open maximum. Without lifting your bum off the heel, just place your hand on the ground and walk on your palm by lengthening your spine. Keep your spine straight. Keep walking more and more further. After reaching an extent, you can crawl your fingers and try to drop your chest and chin on the ground. Look front. You cannot keep your elbow like this bend. Just try to keep it stretched. If you are able to go only this much, I don't mind. But please don't bend your elbow. So keep your elbow straight, chest on the ground, chin on the ground, and excellent practice to open up the pelvis. And if you're having a very tight hip, this is a solution. So through which you can open up the hip, and it gives a very good stretch to the groin area, and also good for shoulder. Those who are having a severe shoulder issue like the frozen shoulder or cervical spondylitis in a beginning stage, you can do. But in a severe case, if the pain is there, then you are not allowed to do this. Okay, so now slowly take the hands support and come back now. Come back, and yes, you need to bring your leg together. Yes, once again, sit in the Vajrasana and just relax for 2 seconds. Okay, so next one more. There's also our Mandukasana variation. Your knees should be, if I show like this, I know this is better view. So keep your knees perpendicular to the ground, and after that go down, drop your both the elbows like this. Slowly walk on your elbow a bit, but in this it should be exactly perpendicular. The walking front is to just lengthen your spine. Then after this, you need to push your shoulder down like this. See? Push the shoulder down, chin on the ground, and look front. Namaste pose. Don't keep the hand like this, hand lifted. And keep looking front. So you can just pulse slightly like this with the exhalation. In case of holding shoulder, if you're having any issues, I mean severe pain or something, don't pulse, you just hold it. Otherwise, just stay here for some time and just push. It's an excellent practice to open up the shoulder. Those who are having the stiffness of the shoulder, you must do this, so you can definitely come out of all the problems related to the shoulder. Suppose if you have a slouching shoulder, then you must do this. This just opens up the shoulder. Good for the scapular and the trapezius and deltoid area. Okay, now you can slowly come back with the hand support and once again sit either in the Vajrasana or in a cross-leg position. Just take 1 or 2 normal breaths. Okay, so next, everybody come to the downward facing dog. Push your shoulder as much as possible inward and try to look at your navel region And from the downward facing dog, just bring your right leg, back side of the right foot, left leg, back side of the left foot, and slowly come to the squatting position. Your back should be straight and namaste pose. And take your tricep out inside or the elbow joint. Many of you may not be able to take the complete tricep like this. In that case, try to take the elbow joint like this, through the elbow joint. Push your pelvis wider, namaste pose. So now from here, we will try to go for the simple Bakasana, that's an arm balance. So to do this, just with the right hand, push your left leg wider and take your tricep out. Similarly, with the left hand, try to push the right leg out and take your both the hands down. And basically, you are going to hook your both the tricep very hard into the leg. And remember that your foot is flat on the floor. And those who are losing the balance can take a brick support. You just keep your heel on the brick like this. And otherwise, you can do, I just show on the side. So after this hooking, just place the palm, have a half-foot distance between your foot and the palm. Then place your palm on the ground. All the fingers wide open. It's also a very good exercise for all these metacarpal bones, or small bones of your palm. And firm, just now come on your toes. Okay, so you need not to lift your buttocks up like this. Just push the body weight forward, that's all. See, just push the body weight and one leg lifted, then the other one lifted. Point your toe, your hip is still down. You're not going to lift the hip off the thigh, off the calf. And just come back. And you need not to do in one shot, you can do half. Just see, this important thing is pushing the body weight forward like this. One leg lifted and try like this and drop it. And try the other side and drop it. Try this one and drop. Then once again slowly push and one by one. Don't jump, you have to just lift one by one. Look front. Okay, slowly come down. Again, come back to the namaste pose. And from here, both the hands down, take your leg back, downward dog position. From the downward dog, once again, drop to both the knees and relax. So last, I think we have less time. So we will do one more arm balancing and let's, we can wind up. So just stretch the left leg sideways. Everybody just sit like this, facing towards me and stretching the left leg front. Then bring the right foot forward, your right foot forward, and the left leg is stretched aside. So basically the asana will be facing this side. So I'll just show you once. Don't do now, after that we'll do together. Keep your left hand, left fingertip pointing forward, and your right hand, through the right hand, bend forward and grab this. Okay, try to hold. And those who are not able to reach, just keep trying to move like this slowly with the exhalation. Try to grab the foot. And those who can reach, just grab your foot and try to lift the leg slightly up. Okay, then take your left hand support, and with the hand support and the foot support, you need to just try to lift the body up and adjust your foot. Slowly come down. So since it is little advanced postures, I don't think everybody can do this. But my pure suggestion is, after coming here, you need to just try to bend forward and try to hold it. Once you're able to even grab the big toe, the next level is just to lift up. And keep trying to do this. Just keep trying to lift your body. So like this, and after doing certain abhyasa or a practice, definitely you'll be able to do this. This is not that impossible or something. Remember one thing, this is extremely good one to enhance the core strength. Those who feel that I'm not having a good core strength, this exercise you need to do. You just keep doing this exercise. It's very good to enhance the posture. Okay, so let's do the same thing with the other side now. Let's stretch the other leg. Now you need to stretch the right leg side. Right leg sideways, look front and keep your all the fingers pointing front. Then bring your left leg front. Okay, so basically asana will be facing this side. Stretch your left hand up, lean forward and grab your foot. Again, those who are not able to go, just do 10 times like this and keep practicing this. And those who can hold the foot, hold it, hand support, and first lift the leg like this, lift and leave. You can hold it as per your capacity because one should not go beyond their limits, beyond their capacity. That is what even Patanjali also says. And Charaka also says, Ayatha Balamarambaha Pranoparodhinam. One should not over exercise or go beyond his or her capacity. So always Yatha Shakti, as per your capacity. Don't go beyond that. You can take a lot of time to practice that. Nothing should be done in one day. So you can take time. And the last one more to do, that's Mandukhasana. So basically this asana must be practiced every day because this is something which keeps the stomach very clean and very healthy, the internal environment, and it gives massage to all the organs, like for example the spleen, liver, pancreas. This is very good asana in order to cure and prevent the diabetes. A very good one, and also you can lose the fat in the abdominal muscles. So now take the thumb inside, make a fist, okay, sit in the Vajrasana, and take your both the hands just below the navel. And you can slightly go back and place the fist here. Then after that, start bending forward with the normal breathing. And again, those who are having the hypertension, please don't practice this. This everybody can do. So lean forward, and after this, collapse your hand and drop your head down. If you are able to reach your forehead on the ground, that's great. If not, you can just drop the head wherever you can and relax it. You can feel the huge pressure on your belly muscles. Sometimes even the breathing is very difficult here because you don't know how to, most of the time we don't know how to manage our breath when we do this, but it's okay. You can just try to have small breaths, but don't go for the deep breathing and stay for a few seconds. Good. Now slowly come upward. Come up and release and close your eyes and just relax, because when you lean forward with the stomach pressed, the blood circulation will be completely disturbed. So after coming up, you need to relax for some time to get settled. That's good. Now slowly take the mat and just lie down on your back. So in the back, when you lie down flat on the back, just expand or stretch your both the hands at the shoulder level. Then bend your left leg and place the left foot on the right thigh. And with the right hand, just hold your knee and slowly pull the knee towards the ground and turn your face to the side. Keep your other leg straight and pull like this, turn backward. And remember, don't let the shoulder to come off the ground. So just stay here. It gives a very good stretch to the lumbar region. Come back and release. The same practice with other side. Bend your right leg. Now place the right foot on the left thigh. And with the left hand, and slowly hold the knee. Slowly pull the knee as much you can. And turn your face to the other side. While pulling this leg, this hand will come up, the shoulder will come up. So try to push the shoulder down and look towards the side. So feel a lot of stretch on the glutes, sciatic stretch will be there, and the hamstring, and the lumbar, this lower back reach. Just come back and keep your both the legs slightly apart now, like this. Hip width apart, and just drop the leg like this and turn to the opposite direction and try to drop your inner knee on the ankle and this leg is fully firm on the ground. Come up, again this side, stretch. Come up, again this side. Come up, one more right and left. Up and last, alternate. Just come up. Now try to pull your both the thighs into the chest and slowly come up. Just drop the body like this. So this will just releases your back, and if you have any discomfort on the back, that will get released. A few rounds of the swapping, and after that, just release the leg, keep your legs apart and the hands apart, lie down in the Shavasana position. So lie down in the Shavasana, make yourself very comfortable. Just wait for 30 seconds, let all the internal functions of your body come to normal state. Do not focus on your breathing, just rest your body and rest your mind. Don't get engaged with any particular thought, just completely rest your body and make sure all the muscles of the body is getting relaxed. Feel the lightness of the body. Due to so many stretches and few asanas, the toxins have been flushed out of the body and you can feel a lightness that's mentioned in Hatha Yoga Angalargavam. And also you can feel the suppleness of the body. With all these wonderful changes in the body, just take one deep inhalation. Fill up your lungs with the fresh oxygen. Exhale slowly and thoroughly. Now again have a normal breathing and feel that the whole body is rejuvenated and refreshed. Tune your mind to the absolute silence around you. Just stay tuned for some more time. Now, give a gentle movement to the toes. Move your fingers a little. Slowly join both the legs together. Hands by the side of the body. Take both the hands up now. Interlock your finger like this and stretch up. Give a good stretch to the body. The toes are pointing down. And bring your left hand down. Right hand stays up. Bend your left leg. Turn your body to right side. Just be there. Your head is resting on the right bicep. Left hand is before the chest. Arm resting on the ground. With the support of your left hand and the right elbow joint, slowly come to sitting posture. The eyes closed. Sit in any comfortable position. Once again, just observe the change occurred in the body. Let us end the session by chanting one Omkara and 3 Shantis. Take a deep inhalation. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Slowly bend forward. Offer your gratification for Almighty and pray for all the good health and success. Slowly come up. Now rub your palm, warm up your palm. Place your palm on your eyeball and the facial muscles. Give a gentle massage to the facial muscles. With a few blinks and with a beautiful smile, gently open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me and have a fantastic day.
Namaste, Kartik Bhrata. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. And I think, like yesterday, we had a session by Dr. Subhash Kak, who spoke on the yoga and science of consciousness. And he made some very complex and profound ideas seem very simple. So today, watching you, I had a similar feeling on a Hatha Yogic plane that some of the things that you were doing looked quite complicated, and yet you did it with such ease and the enthusiasm with which you encouraged everybody to join along. Definitely enthuse them also to try and come up to these standards of, sthiram, and yet at the same time something that is a little complicated, to find that stability in themselves. So thank you very much for that session. I would you like to sit in front a little more, a little closer to the mic? That would be lovely. Yes. Maybe more. Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah. All right. So we do have a few questions. There's a lot of appreciation coming in. People really enjoyed this session. Very innovative postures, sequences. Very nice. Thank you. So I will just take up a few questions that have come up. So we have Ashok Ji, who also enjoyed your sequences. He says, excellent series for balance of body and mind. Are there any names for these? Is there a book for these? And the second question coming from a personal point is, can one start these at 60 years? And until what age one practice them?
Okay, the point number one is whatever the sequence I have given, it is like a sequence in the sense we just combine few asanas together and we practiced it. And as said, there is no book which talks about the sequence. Anyway, the sequence concept came very recently. In ancient time, the classical Hatha Yoga text where you will not find any sequence. The 84 asanas are mentioned, or if you take it here in the Samhita or whatever, it is 32 asanas are mentioned. But asanas are practiced separately, and whatever the warm-up you do, you are free to do whatever you like because the body has to be warmed up. So this is a kind of warm-up thing, and considering the modern lifestyle, considering the modern way of living, I found that many people have a lot of discomfort on shoulder, back, and the hip, and especially getting up thing. Sitting in a cross leg is a big challenge nowadays because we never sit on the floor with a cross leg. Even for eating also, we use the dining table, chairs, and our lifestyle made us so pathetic that we cannot sit down, we cannot, if at all with the circus we sat down, we are not able to get up. I mean, we need a lot of support. So that's the reason, keeping that in the head, I just given this practice, I mean, this asanas are separately mentioned, but no sequence. The sequence I just made. And as far as the age is concerned, to start the yoga, there is no age limitation. You can start at any point of time. The one important thing is here, you need to have a proper teacher. With the proper guidance, with the proper teacher, you can just start in any age. If you are a very newcomer, I mean, say, if you are suppose you, say for example, I am 60-year-old, but I never practiced any kind of yoga in my entire life. But now there is an interest, there is a quest that I want to start yoga. Please approach a very good teacher to learn the things in a very traditional manner. So then you start your journey. Definitely you will enjoy the journey of yoga.
Thank you very much. Karthik ji himself is based in Bangalore, in Bannerghatta. So if you're anywhere around that, please try and connect with him so that you can benefit from his sharings, his teachings. We have Dr. Priyanka Tadakamalla. Not so sure if I got the pronunciation right. So Priyanka ji is saying that can children below a certain age also do yoga? And what are the important precautions while doing yoga? Like, can we drink water and so on? So if you can also maybe just give us an idea of food, water, how do you balance out your food timings with the practice of yoga?
Okay, as far as the children are concerned, after the age of 7, they are allowed to practice the yoga. Before 7, it is not needed. And the food thing is, you have to be quite specific when you are practicing yoga, the food especially. Eat any type of food, but there is a concept in Hatha Yoga that mitahara. Mitahara is a half stomach eating. So don't go beyond that. I mean, you get a signal from inside that once the half stomach is filled, that the contentment will be there. Just listen to the body. Body will give all gestures to you. But thing is, we are not in the position to listen to that because we are so much into the external world. So eat half stomach food and your yoga will become definitely good. And during the session, whenever you feel hydrated, just keep sipping the water. Keep the water bottle with you. So, and keep sipping the water and never drink the water like gulping. I mean, like take one liter of water and start gulping and finish it. That's not recommended. Have a sip. Even the water has a taste. Okay, when you drink the water in that way, as you drink the coffee, you just take one sip and you enjoy it. Wow, the coffee is so nice. Similarly, the water has a taste. So take a small sip of water and taste it and enjoy it. And one sip. Whenever you feel dehydrated, say for example, in 1 hour of session, even you can have a full 1/2 liter or 1 liter of water, but it should go sip by sip. Just don't drink for the sake of drinking. That 5 liter has to be filled somehow, and that is what the advice given by my doctor. So I have to do that. Please don't do that. Body will demand whenever the water is needed. So provide the water at that time.
All right, thank you very much. I just have to make a small correction because I mentioned you're in Bannerghatta by mistake. And you are actually based in Banashankari, right?
Yes.
You have your Yogashala in Banashankari. That's more central in Bangalore. So if you're around that area, please join in. And there are some, again, deep appreciations of the fact that you were able to get people to almost do the posture. So Veronica G is from Washington, if I'm right. And she's saying that she's a very regular participant. She's saying I'm able to understand and almost did the crow asana. Thank you for your great guidance. So I think just in one session, if people are able to do it, it's wonderful. And so I think I will just take 2 more questions and wrap it up. So I'll try and make a combination of questions. There's one set of questions that are based around the pranayama and the kriyas. So it's from Juan Maldonado from Mexico, and also from Traibal Chakraborty from Mumbai. And they are saying that regarding the practice of the sequence with the pranayama and kriya, do you do it before or do you do it after? Yes, we had also Nivedita ji asking the same question. So should you do the pranayama and kriyas before the asanas or after?
So regarding the practicing of pranayama, either it should be practiced before or after. I say that the pranayama, if you are not a new person, if you are a practitioner from long time, or if you are a beginner, then I recommend pranayama practice at the end of the session. Or else you can do it in the beginning, because why we have to do it in the beginning means once you open up your respiratory tract, the breathing will definitely get improved. And whatever asana you do, you can cope up with the posture. Because the Hatha Yogic style is just hold the asana for a longer time and without much force, you just have to hold it. And 10 seconds of holding, you will not feel anything, you just feel only other than pain, you will not feel anything. Another 10 seconds, you just make an arrangements that how I can keep my spine, how hand can be posed, or how I can sit firmly. That you make all those arrangements in another 10 seconds. Another 10 seconds, the 30th, the 20 to another 30 seconds. So last 10 seconds, you actually enjoy the pose. To do that, if the pranayama done in the beginning, your respiratory organs like for Kapalabhati, it's an excellent practice to open up the lungs and it hyperventilates the lung. More oxygen consumption takes place during your asana practice. So in that case, the asana and the pranayama can be practiced in the beginning as a supportive factor for asana. But if you want to avoid the maximum benefits of pranayama, I recommend you to practice at the end of the session, because it's other way that if you do the asana, your body will become supple. All the stiffness will be gone and sitting posture becomes easier because Angalagam, that's what I mentioned, limbs are very comfortable and supple. Then if you do the pranayama, you will not feel any discomfort. So in that case, you can, it's just idea that one day I need to focus more on the pranayama, do it at the end. And I need to focus more on the asana and make the asana more effective, do the pranayama in the beginning. So that's how you can plan your session.
Thank you. That was, I think, quite a clarification for many on this group. Just another, so the questions are pouring in and we'll have to draw the line at some point, but just questions regarding some technical questions. We have one by Cindy G who's asking, what's the name of the second arm balance that you did?
Parivritta Parshva Bhuja Dandasana. It's a variation of Parshva Bhuja Dandasana.
Parshva Bhuja Dandasana. I'll try and put that on the chat for people.
It's a variation of Parshva Bhuja Dandasana.
Bhuja Dandasana. All right, it's a variation of that. And the other one was around the mudra. We had Dangeti Solashriji who's asking, what is the names of the mudra? You did one mudra, and what was the name of that particular one?
This is a classical Hatha Yogic mudra which is called as Mahabheda mudra. So that is the Mahabheda mudra. Actually, there we need to do the Jalandhara Bandha and the Mula Bandha together with the breath holding. The Mula Bandha is a perineum contraction and Jalandhara Bandha is a contraction of your neck or the throat region. But since every type of people are here, advanced people, beginners and all, so holding the breath and adopting two mudra may become too much. So that's the reason I just left the perineum contraction Mula Bandha and just ask you to practice only a Jalandhara Bandha. But in a later stages, you can adopt the Mula Bandha also. So it's a great lock, it is called as Mahamantra. Mahabheda Mudra.
Mahabheda Mudra. Okay. So we have Debraji. I'll sort of try and wrap it up now. So we have Debraji, who's a very regular participant. She's over 50, but her enthusiasm is extremely infectious for many who are on our team. And she always has very keen questions. So she's saying that in the Ashtanga, there is a set program in Hatha. Is there any set program in Hatha that you follow at the same asana sequence?
See, in Hatha Yoga, actually there is no particular sequence. The asana wise, you can do it. I mean, any asana you can randomly pick up. And it's mostly beginning asanas, some meditative asanas you can practice at the beginning and do all the preparatory practice. That's very, very important. Suppose if you directly you cannot get into the asana, body is very rigid and it will not listen to whatever you are pushing. So do a lot of preparatory practices, otherwise you will be end up with the pain in the wrist, pain in the knee, pain in the hip and back. So there are many preparatory practices are there. For suppose if you do the Gomukhasana, the shoulder will not move. So you take a strap and do some shoulder exercise like this, open up the shoulders, which is also good for frozen shoulder. Then you get into the asana. But as far as the asana Hatha Yoga sequence is concerned, traditionally there is no sequence. You can just pick up any asana and you can continue.
All right. So there is one question around motivation. I mean, we have a question around motivation of different kinds. So somebody's asking that, you know, one is how do you, in lockdown situations where we are all static, circumstantially static, how do you keep your motivation to practice? The other kind of question related to motivation is that Shruti ji is saying that she once had a fall on her back from doing Shirshasana. And ever since there is a fear of doing it, even while doing Bakasana. So how do you get out of your fear for falling off while doing certain balancing asanas? Similarly for twisting asanas. So there was Anjuji who's saying that while doing twisting, she's listening to some kind of sounds on her spine. So, and she says that it's worrisome, she's over 55. So how do you address all of this?
See, there is a sutra in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which says that, which talks about the abhyasa, the practice, and the vairagya, that is a detachment. With these two, one can achieve the success in a physical and in the material life and in a spiritual life in a yogic journey. Abhyasa is a constant practice. And he says that Dirghakala, Nairantarya, Satkara Sayaka. Dirghakala is a long-term plan and Nairantarya is a continuity and Satkara means with a complete sincerity. Here, during the long time, the practice may get disturbed because of the mental state and all. So my advice is don't plan for a longer, session, like a 1.5 hour session, 1 hour session or something. Because every day you have to practice, let's keep it in a mind. If you practice for 2 hours every day, third day you are end up with a body pain and you took 3 days or 4 days of gap, then again you starting on Monday. This doesn't make any sense. So that's the reason, please plan for 20 minutes of regular practice. I will not recommend more than that because you have to continue. Satu Dirghakala Nairantarya. Plan for 12 years. Plan for your entire lifetime. And 15 to 20 minutes every day without a break. That's more than enough. And you can see the miraculous result in 15-20 days. This is point number 1 as far as the continuity is concerned. And as far as the fear is concerned, suppose you did the headstand, you fell down, nothing happened usually nothing will happen as you take a precaution. But my advice is always do the, whatever the back bends, whatever the headstand, handstand, whatever it is, please take the wall support and do it. And learn the proper methodology of doing asana. Alignment is very important. So always I say that please do all these things with the help of the teacher. So nowadays everything is online. With online only you take a teacher, okay, learn teacher, and teacher will suggest that how to get into that position. Because you see some YouTube videos, the yoga never goes like that. It cannot be done like that. So that everybody would have become a masters in yoga, but it's impossible. Yoga cannot be learned that way. A teacher should be there. The teacher has to monitor your progress. Teacher has to see that where you are making a mistake and how the alignment is going wrong. So my advice is please be careful when you are doing all such intensive asanas. Learn the methodology, learn the alignment, then do. as far as your twisting is concerned, the back will make some noise, clicking sound and all. It's just quite common because some people will have a lot of dry back and the fluid secretion will be quite less. And my advice is consume 2-3 spoons of ghee, add it in your diet. Every day you consume the ghee because the ghee acts as a lubricant, especially for your joints, especially for your knee joints and the ankle joints and your spinal joints. So that's one preparation for the asana. And you don't go that much extreme twisting. Step by step go, do only half posture because in a posture you have to feel some kind of bliss. If bliss is not there, then don't do that. So do step by step and you will be fine with the practice.
Yes, you've also answered a question from Dylan Long from Singapore where he's saying that he wanted to go out of his practice. How can you slowly go out of the practice and move from gross to subtle? And he really enjoyed your practice. I think when you talked about this 20 minutes, which was very reassuring and very real. People, if you think of Yogasana and think of 1 hour, it's very hard to start. But with your reassurance of 20 minutes regular practice, I think that is something that each one of us can invest in.
So my own experience, that's the reason I mentioned it. I tried a lot to maintain a track of practice in 1 hour every day, but some or other thing will come up and we have to skip the practice on one day. So that's the reason. It's my own experience and I have learned it. So it's better with the help of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So I just made it like practice for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or maximum half an hour. Doesn't matter where you are, in which locality. Just take 20 minutes of time or half an hour of time for your own personal sadhana.
Wonderful. So I think that's a very important note to stop on for now. And we have Annapurna ji who's asking that, sequence of order of standing, sitting and lying asanas. But Annapurna ji, that is an independent session by itself. And we highly recommend that you and everybody else who would like to, follow these practices, get in touch with Karthik ji directly. So would you like to share some contact details where people can reach out to you too? How can people reach you and get some questions answered and follow your online sessions if you have some?
They can contact me through my email ID. I can provide the email ID.
Share it now. I will type it out.
It's Dr. Karthik.
Karthik. Dr. Yes.
Karthik HC.
HC, yes.
At the rate of gmail.com.
At gmail.com. All right. So please feel free to connect with him. He's very generously, like all of our yoga experts, very generously shared their contact details. Please use it judiciously, and I'm sure he will also make sure to answer yes.
Can provide my contact number also, mobile number.
Sure.
990 480.
Is it 1480?
Exactly.
1480.
456.
456. So this is also your WhatsApp.
Yes, available on WhatsApp. That number.
All right. So those are his contact details. Arka Yoga, do you have a website on Arka Yoga as yet?
No, not yet, but very soon.
So we are looking forward to your website and to a book by you on these techniques. So hope it will happen soon. I would just like to mention here that people are asking about, certification. So this Global Festival of Yoga does not provide any certification. We are providing you the opportunity. The certification will be your own through a regular practice and what you experience in your life. The other thing is that all these recordings will be available on indicayoga.com, Indica Yoga YouTube, as well as the Indica Yoga Facebook page. So all the recordings are uploaded by our brilliant technical support team, Srinivas ji and Koti Ramprasad ji. We have it all up there. We have regular correspondence going out from Vishwajit Bhrata from Bangalore. So we have an excellent support team that will make all of this available for you. So please benefit from the half month of brilliant sessions that have happened thus far. We have another 15 days to go. Please stay with us. Encourage more people to join. We still have, let's say, we had over 150 people on Zoom alone today. But this platform can host more than 1,000 people. So it would be brilliant if each one of you says, you know, I think somebody out there needs it, and you can enthuse them to join, encourage them to join these sessions and benefit from these simple and yet profound sharings that we are trying to bring for you to celebrate wellness. So Karthik ji, thank you very much. I will make an announcement for the sessions that will follow, and then I'll come back to you for a message from you. So the afternoon session is going to be a bilingual session by Carole Dalma, who's from a French person from Switzerland. And she's going to do a practice on yoga for the fascia. It's going to be in French and English. And Carole is the co-founder of Terji Yoga. And she is going to be teaching us on how we can connect and also work on the fascia of our body. So she has requested everybody to get what you call the Pico ball. Pico is P-I-C-O-T. So please try and get yourself a Pico ball if you want to join the practice, or also get a tennis ball with you, either of them. All right, that will help you do the practice better. And we also have, following that in the evening, another what promises to be a brilliant session by Dr. Naveen K. Vishweshwaraya. He's the medical director of Yoga Kshema chain of clinics for stress, pain, lifestyle, nutrition. And he's going to be talking to us on generic yoga therapy beyond gurus and styles. He has vast experience, done a lot of research. So it would be wonderful if you can participate in that session as well. And with these words, Karthik ji, may I request you to please come back on screen and share your last message with our participants.
Am I audible?
Yes.
So it was a wonderful experience with you all, and I just thank Indica Yoga for this opportunity. And what I learned, it was a chance to share with you all. So, and keep practicing and continue your practice. So, like step by step, escalate and getting to the different levels of yoga. And I wish you all the best, and I wish you all the good health and prosperity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that blessing for everybody. And a last comment by Veronica ji, who's saying, I've shared this festival with my friends, colleagues from Argentina and Nicaragua. It's a treasure in my life, and I'm very inspired to find a yoga teacher in India. So welcome to India. This is the land of wonders. Discover yourself, and let's remain this large family across the world and work on each other to help create a healthier, happier, and better society. Thank you very much. Thank you, Karthik ji, and thank you for being a wonderful audience always. And I now request Srinivas ji to please put up the next session, and we'll close on that. Namaste.